Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome back to The Voice Within. Let's jump straight into conversation, and today's conversation will be important for you if you are a woman feeling a little bit disconnected from the world, or maybe you are a mom feeling lonely and isolated in your motherhood. While I'm recording this podcast episode, I'm walking around my room because I notice that my inspiration comes stronger when I'm in movement, when I'm walking and talking. And I remember the time when I used to study for the school, I was always studying while I'm moving. So I noticed that even when I'm recording my podcast, my flow comes. And if you hear me like breathing and walking, this is because I'm moving and recording. So all this past year of my life, I have spent in elevating my life, changing the way I operate, changing my identity, myself, the way I interact with the people, the way I see myself. I elevated my values, my beliefs, even the environment around me. How is my house? How are the things? Cleaning the drawers and the shelves. And I really wanted to create that peace and joy inside of me and outside of me. And to be able to do that, I have to keep observing the things which I'm doing. I have to keep paying attention and being aware of the habits and the things which kind of going automatically, but actually they are sometimes creating problems in the way how we feel, in the way how we interact with ourselves and with the world around us. So one of the things which I noticed recently is that I really started preferring more to be alone at home than going outside. One of the reasons for that is I became very selective with my circle, that I'm really careful who am I allowing to be in my energy. But one part of that is coming from something which I just realized last week. When I used to be cabin crew and traveling all around the world, there was always cities and places, and in those cities and places, coffee shops, bakeries, groceries, which made me feel very alive, and the places where they made me feel like kind of I don't exist, like very flat. Some of the places I always wish that I can stay forever. Some of the places I wanted to leave that place as soon as possible. And thinking last week about this, I realized that even during my motherhood, especially on the beginning, in those first few years of my son's life, there was the places where I would go with him to have a cup of coffee and he's in the trolley sitting next to me. There was places where I felt good and chill out, and after the conversation with the people in that environment, I would come home replenished. Even I didn't have coffee with a friend, I was sitting just with my son, but I would feel completely different just being in those places. On another side, there was a places where everything is beautiful. The food is perfect, the chairs are perfect, the stuff is perfect, but those places made me feel like a plant in a wrong soil. I would sit there, I would eat that perfect food, I would enjoy, but it didn't give me that energy boost that the warm places used to give me. And then last week I was thinking, is it really possible that the places we sit in, the way the people interact with each other, even the strangers, they have some architecture, they have some energy which basically affects how we feel. Because if an environment is affecting how we feel, then if it's affecting us positively, that positively is visible in our motherhood. And then last week I sit down and I wrote it to myself on the piece of paper, the places where I remember that made me feel good, and the places where I felt that flat, very sterile. And then I noticed one really interesting thing. There is a places, cities, coffee shops, groceries, environment generally, where people are interacting with each other, warm, eye contact, chitty, chatty, chill out. So basically, let's say horizontal communication. And then there is a places where the people are very professional, very sterile, very there is that boundary between you and them. You are a client and they are working. So they kind of interacting with you in the vertical way. So the places which made me feel really good are the places where the people are talking with me horizontally. And the places where I felt uncomfortable are the places where the people would interact to me vertically. Now, I love when the people are professional, but for me, when the people don't have that a little bit of aliveness, a little bit of human touch, that being professional becomes a little bit too much. So when I reflect back on the beginning of my motherhood, I noticed how those places where the people are warm and chatty but still professional were affecting me. I would feel like I had coffee with my best friend. I would be more available and present for my son. I would have more energy from 10-15 minutes of that communication instead of sitting in some professional sterile place where I just have professional communication and nobody is putting that human touch in conversation. And now to bring it back to my situation of preferring to stay at home, I noticed that I would rather sit in my house, read my books, prepare the work that I'm doing, that I'm planning for my platforms in the future, rather than going outside. And I was thinking last week, is it possible it's because I don't choose the places that makes me feel alive? I'm just going to the nearest coffee shop, nearest restaurant. I'm not choosing the places based on that horizontal communication, but I just go in the random place. And it's kind of a random place where it's closest to the house is the place where environment is predictable, communication is predictable. So why would I go there when I can just stay in the house and chill out and make my own coffee and finish my work? And it sounds very logical. However, when we are in motherhood, we are craving adult conversation. And often for stay-at-home moms, this tends to be very hard when all our communication throughout the day is just with our children. Adult conversation gives us that aliveness. We start existing outside of our motherhood role. And when we have adult conversation, we are able to be more available for our children. We have more energy. We see them more like a children. We are not that much triggered. So then I started imagining and thinking about the places which made me feel good. Okay, if I would go to XYZ place, would I feel better if I go there or I stay at home? Do I have that spark and wish to go to that place, or I would rather stay in the house? And honestly, I would rather go to that place. And then I was thinking this is definitely something that I need to share on my platform for the women who feel a little bit disconnected from the world, or the women who are lonely in their motherhood, who basically don't have that much adult conversation during the day. What if we would take this principle and be self-led women and lead ourselves to the places which brings aliveness to us, that warmth, that humanity, people chit-chatting, interacting with each other, where just simple conversation with the waiter will make you feel better immediately. Motherhood specifically tends to kind of isolate us a little bit, and we get into that routine day to day. All the days are blending, they are same when the baby is small, and we forgot how important it is, that adult conversation. This also tends to be a problem for the expat moms, for the moms who are living far away from the family and friends. So how about if we would start leading ourselves to the places where we feel alive, to the places where there is life moving around us? So choosing places intentionally, not just based on the coffee or based on the food, but based on the fact, how does those places affecting us, how they make us feel, how they are supporting us in our life and in our motherhood. I know that after I realized this is definitely something which I'm gonna start doing, because truly I never saw it before this way. I always know that there is places and cities where I used to love to go, and there is places and cities where I don't love to go. So I hope that this perspective brings you something fresh and gives you some ideas about the places and environments that you can choose for yourself that will bring you aliveness. I hope that you will lead yourself into the places which brings that warmth and energy in your life. And that's it for this Sunday. That's all what I wanted to say this week. And until the next week, I wish you a beautiful rest of the day. Bye.